In this exciting tutorial, we're going to learn about the observer pattern. No, not from this boring Wikipedia article, but from this awesome game. This simple animation game is going to use the observer pattern to make our sprites move and change the text on the screen. This is Coding with Adam, and let's get to the code. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, like, and share. Let's give our game a quick try. As you can see, we have these buttons at the top of the screen. If I go ahead and click run, our state will change to run and our characters will change their animation. Let's go ahead and click jump. Everyone's jumping except for the zombie. I didn't have a jump animation for that. If we click dead, all of our players will fall over and die. And attack, well, everybody will start using their attack, except for Pumpkinhead, which doesn't have one, and that's why he's sliding. You're probably wondering, what does this have to do with the observer pattern? Well, we're going to get to that shortly, but first, let's take a look at a diagram. First, we have that definition. The observer pattern is a software design pattern in which an object named subject maintains a list of dependents called observers and notifies them automatically of any state changes, usually by calling one of their methods. Let's apply that definition to the UML diagram over here. As you can see, we have a subject and we have several observers. So a subject will contain many observers. The way this works is our subject has a method called register observer. We can add observers through the register observer method. We can also remove observers if we choose to. So let's pretend that our subject has 2 observers over here. The subject can go ahead and notify our observers of some state change or some event that happened by calling a notify. And what that will do is it'll loop over the list of our observers and call the update method on each observer. Let's take a look at a practical example, the observer pattern with YouTube subscriptions. The subject will be the YouTube channel Coding with Adam. The observers will be YouTube users. By subscribing and clicking the notification bell, YouTube users will be notified of any new videos uploaded by the subject Coding with Adam. The other thing that you'll note in this diagram over here is that we've modified our subject to be more akin to how YouTube works. So instead of having the following method over here as being a register, we renamed it to subscribe. So you can subscribe and unsubscribe. Whenever a new video is uploaded to Coding with Adam, the notify method will be executed. It'll then loop over our subscriber list. So instead of calling it an observer list, we'll call it a subscriber list. Then our observers, well, they still have the update method, just like we did in our other diagram over here, except our observers are YouTube users who will be notified whenever a new video is uploaded. If you haven't already, you can try the observer pattern by going to the Coding with Adam YouTube channel, clicking that subscribe button, and turning on notifications with the bell. Now you're an observer of Coding with Adam and will be notified of new videos. Let's take a look at a diagram to understand how our game's going to work with the observer pattern. As you can see, our subject is highlighted in red and represents these different buttons. These buttons can be used to change the state of our game. Now this might look a little bit confusing because technically we only have one subject. We have multiple buttons, but they're all interacting with one subject object. Then our observers are highlighted in yellow. Our subject will have a list of all our observers. It'll have the text component over here, and it will have each individual characters. When the subject changes, which means that one of these buttons were clicked and the state changed, we're going to loop through all of the observers telling them to update and which state they should be updating for. So for example, if we picked run, our state would change to run, and then all of our characters would perform their run animations. Now that we have an idea of how the observer pattern will work in our application, we can look at our initial starting state. Now this is going to be the initial starting state for our application. As you can see, all of our characters are performing the idle animation. But if I click any of the buttons up above, they don't work. And then also we're missing that display text. So now let's take a look at the code. Here's the application. It's loosely based on the previous video that I did on Pumpkinhead and animating Pumpkinhead using your keyboard. So this application over here is structured as follows. We have our images directory with all of the images that you can see over here. Then we also have our src directory. Our src directory has our sprites. Those represent all the different characters that we have over here. Also to note that all of these characters over here that we've defined also inherit from a common class called player. This can be better illustrated in a diagram. So in this diagram over here, you can see that we have all of our different players that we have. We have our Pumpkinhead, our Knight, Adventure Girl, Zombie, and Robot, and every single one of these inherit from a common class called Player. If we also go to one of those classes, like Knight.js, we can see that it extends the Player class. So that means that there's a lot of common functionality that we've implemented in Player that's used by the various characters. Let's take a look at the last little bit of code that we have. As always, we have our index.js where we're running our game loop. The game loop is responsible for updating the screen. And as you can see, we have a list of players in this game loop over here. And then for each game player, we're telling it to draw. That's when you see the idle animation or run animation or any of these things happening for these players. Now also our game defines all of our characters. We grab those characters and we throw it into a list as you saw. And then once again in the game loop, we just loop over it. Now in this application over here, I've just stubbed out a few things. One of the first things we need to do is define our subject. After we've defined our subject, we have our observers over here. They already exist and they're on the screen, but we need to take those observers and register them with the subject. So let's start with the first step of defining our subject. We'll call our subject player control subject. We're going to add subject to the end, so it's very clear what the intention of this class is. It's not required to add the name subject to the end of it, but for this example, it makes it much more simpler to understand. Our player control subject is going to look very much like this diagram over here. We're going to define our subject with the register observer, unregister observer, notify, and observer list. I'll go ahead and quickly define that class over here. Now you can see our player control subject, as we said, is going to have a list of observers. I've simply called observers. You can register an observer, which will add it to the observers list. You can unregister the observer, which removes it from the list. And lastly, the most important method on here is that when we call notify, pass in a state like run, jump, dead, or attack, the state will then be updated for all the observers. We're going to loop over all the observers and call observer.update, passing in the state. In order to use this class, we'll go over to our index.js and import it here. Then we can go ahead and define our subject. Now that we have our subject, we can go ahead and register some of our observers with our subject. So we're simply just going to go player control subject.register observer, and we'll register the pumpkin, and then we'll also register our robot. Next, we can go ahead and get our subject to notify our observers. So as you can see, we have these buttons on the screen over here. If we take a look at our index.html, we have the buttons here, and each one of them has an ID, so idle, run, jump. And then if we go back to our index.js, you can see all I've done is add event listeners for the click for every single one of these buttons here. So let's go ahead and implement our run button. For our run button, we'll go ahead and get our subject and we'll call a notify. Now the notify method takes in a state. So this is the player states. So we'll go to our player states and we're going to get the run state. At the same time, let's also open up our developer console over here. Remember, you can get to that through the three dots, more tools, developer tools, or use the keyboard shortcut for your operating system. And as you can see, we don't have any errors on our console, so we're still in a good state. Let's go ahead and give this run button a try. So I'm going to go ahead and click run, and then we get this error over here. What's happening over here is our player control subject is looping over the observers. And then on that observer, when it calls update, well, that function doesn't exist. We haven't implemented it yet. So what would be the best place to implement that? Well, before we do that, let's have a quick look at our diagram. As we know for our diagram, our subject has a list of observers, and as you can see, it has an update method. Then if we go back to our player control subject, we can see that in our notify method that we're calling, it says this.observers loops over each observer and tries to call update, but that function doesn't exist. So what would be the best place to put this method? We go to our index.js and we take a look at our pumpkin over here. Let's go open up the jack-o'-lantern file, find jack-o'-lantern. And then from the jack-o'-lantern file over here, we can see that, well, we could add it to this file, but that would mean that I'd have to add it to every single one. And it's pretty much the same thing. We just want them to execute their animations. And as you know from this diagram over here, you can see that every single one of these players inherits from player. And we can also see that illustrated in the code. If I click on night, you can see extends player. Jack-o'-lantern also extends player. Same thing with adventure girl. The best place to put this update method would be one common place. We're going to go ahead and put that on the player. In our player, we'll just go ahead and add an update method. We'll just do update, and let's just look at our player control subject for a second over here. We can see that the update method has the state being passed in. So we'll go back to our player.js over here, and it's going to take a state in. And then all we're going to do is say this.state is equal to state, because our player over here has a state already, and all we have to do is set it. The default state, as you can see on our player, is idle, and that's why all the players are doing their idle animation. Now, once we click a button, it should switch to that animation. So let's go ahead and try this. We'll click run, and you can see that our pumpkin and our robot are running. The reason that our pumpkin and robot are running are that they are the only observers that are registered with our subject. So let's go back to our index.js over here, and we look at where we did our registrations. You can see that only the robot and the pumpkin are registered. Now, if we go ahead and register adventure girl, so we'll go ahead and do that. Click save, and then click that run button. Now all three of them will be running. While we're here, let's also go register our knight and our zombie. Then we can go ahead and test that by clicking run, and all our characters run. Then we can go ahead and implement the rest of our button clicks over here. For idle, this will just be idle, and we'll just add all these states here, including the dead, the attack, and the jump. Now we can try our animations out. So let's click run. We can see that we're running. We go back to idle, we're idle. Let's go jump, everyone's jumping. Dead, everyone falls over and dies. Attack, the attack animations are being played, but if I click dead again, we just fall right over. The reason for this is that the dead animation is only supposed to run once, so we need to reset it in order to get it to work again. Let's go ahead and handle that edge case. In the player.js, we have our common update method. We're going to go there, make a quick little modification. We're just going to check if this requested state over here is equal to playerstates.dead. And if it is equal to playerstates.dead, then what we're going to do is grab our dead animation and just call reset. Save that. Let's go give that a try. We'll run the dead animation, make sure it runs completely, then click attack, then back to dead. And you can see that animation is running as expected now. You can also see from this example over here, I only had to update this in one place to fix it for all of our characters. So this is the advantage of having this structure over here where all of our players inherit from player for their common code. The last observer that we're going to want to implement is the text that's displayed inside the moon over here. So this is going to be the current state. Let's go ahead and make a new file over here, and we're just going to put that in the root of our src, and we're going to call it displayCurrentState.js. Display current state is going to do two things. One, it's going to draw itself to the screen as text, and two, it's going to have that update method that is required for our observer. Important thing to note here is that displayCurrentState is an observer, but it's not the same as our players. It doesn't have animations or do any of those things. All it does is display text. From the point of view of the observer, we're just waiting for any changes, and then we can do anything that we want once we get notified of what that change is. In this particular situation, it's to display text. And that text that we get is the state. The state that we get is technically lowercase. So if we go ahead and take a look at our player states over here, you can see that all of our player state names are lowercase. So the display current state over here is doing a little bit of processing on that state name. It's taking the first letter, making it uppercase, and then appending the rest of the string so that we can have the first letter capitalized. Then it's storing that value in this state text property over here. And then anytime the draw method gets called, it's going to use that text which has the first letter capitalized. And if there isn't any text to display, then we display idle. In our index.js over here, we'll go ahead and import our display current state. Then we can go ahead and create our observers. So we'll go down to our observer section over here, and we'll create that observer for our display current state. Then we can go ahead and just register our observer. So I'll just copy that line over there and then pass in our display current state. Our display current state is an object that has a draw method on it. So we'll have to add it to our game loop as well. All we have to do is say display current state dot draw, and pass in the CTX, and now we have the state being displayed on the screen. If I go ahead and click any of these other states, that observer will also be listening. As soon as I click jump, it's sending a notification to all our observers. These characters are starting their animation for jump. Meanwhile, our display current state over here, it's just grabbing that state and converting it into text that it then displays on the screen. And there you have it. We've applied the observer pattern to a game. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe, like, and share.